All right, welcome back to my opinion. This little video is going to be about Trump's big, beautiful bill and why I believe it's important for Republicans to get on board and pass this. Uh, yes, one, it does directly affect me, and it directly affects a lot of other people. Um, it's important because, one, people, it will, you won't have to pay taxes on tips, but I would pretty much say that most people don't pay their taxes on tips. If it's a cash tip, you don't. Who reports that? Yes, you're supposed to, but no. You know, some bartender's not going to turn in that $5 tip. Um, Now, if it's a credit card, which more and more people are using every day, a whole lot more, or your debit card, it's recorded. So at the end of the day, you're getting taxed on your tips. That's on the credit, on the tip on the credit card at the table. Um, so that will help those people to where they receive 100% of their tip, which as it should be. Um, that's why I try to tip with cash, because I want my server to get the money, not the federal government, so they can waste it on something like China or Mexico, or especially Canada. So, um, yeah, it'll help with tips. And lots of people receive tips: cab drivers, bartenders, servers. Uh, there's lots of tips, and I want them to receive 100% of my tip. Where it affects me, the big beautiful bill, is overtime, because I work overtime. Um, I do security over at another institution, uh, and that's my overtime, and that's quite a bit of overtime, and it gets heavily taxed. Um, I would love to not be taxed by the federal government. At least, I would love to not be taxed by local, city, state, and all that too on my overtime. I don't know how that's going to work out in the big beautiful bill. Hopefully, it covers that, but I do believe. Well, I know that it's federal, and you do pay quite a bit in federal taxes on your overtime because it's income, so you're going to pay on it. So that's where it would affect me directly. A lot of people are afraid, and there's other things too. I forget what all they are that it will help out with a lot of things. But of course, that one caught me, sold me on it. But a lot of people are afraid of the Medicare cuts, or not Medicare, sorry, Medicaid cuts. Medicare is for people over 65. They're not talking about cutting that. They're talking about cutting some of the Medicaid. Now, Bill Clinton did the same thing. Um, it was called workfare instead of welfare, and it was very successful. Trump is not talking about cutting Medicaid for someone who has a disability, uh, children, things like that. There are a lot of people who receive Medicaid who should not be receiving Medicaid, who need to get up and work. Go to work. Medicaid is for impoverished people as well, and yes, uh, that helps, but it's abused, and it's used by a lot of people who really need to just go get a job or work a little more. I don't want to work overtime. I would love to work 40 hours a week, but I also like to have things. So, you know, um, if I could get Medicaid, that would save me a lot in my health care. Um, but that's just the way it is. We can't afford to give everybody health care because we've been spending tons of money, which Democrats uh, want to keep doing, spending on other countries, uh, supplying their protection for little to nothing. 2%, really? Everybody should be paying 5% minimum if you want our protection, if you want our help. But, yeah, the big beautiful bill will cut some of that. It trims the fat. Medicaid is used and abused way too much. Too many people receive Medicaid who probably shouldn't. So, yeah. The big beautiful bill is a lot of tax cuts for you and I, the working people, and a lot of trimming the fat for people who are probably should, you know, be working instead and doing like the rest of us and getting health care through our work. But that's my opinion. Tell me what you think. Do you receive Medicaid? If so, why? Medicaid is not going to be stopped or ended. It's just they're wanting to trim the fat. You can't keep doing what we're doing and giving all these other countries all this money. Illegal immigrants, putting them up in hotels like some of these states do, like New York and stuff. 5-star hotels, not even, you know, Red Roof Inns. And then standing there with a handout, you know, letting the looters just take over your city like in LA and stuff. Oh, well, they need to eat. They're stealing Nikes and cell phones. You have to trim the fat. And Medicaid is one of those sources. I'm sure there's going to be others. And, you know, it's just the way it is. Got to trim the fat. And that's one of the programs that other presidents like Bill Clinton trimmed it as well. Like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe and be safe.